In this section, I want to briefly discuss value indicators for building materials and other property incident to deconstruction and decommissions. Obviously, lumber is valuable, especially if it can be aged vintage or antique, because it's a finite resource, and there does seem to be consistent market demand for this lumber. Cabinetry and built-ins, desks, shelvings, modern and transitional are the most valuable compared to traditional style. This also just depends upon the supply and demand curve and getting the. Next, I want to discuss value indicators. These are the indicators that help our clients determine what's most valuable in their potential deconstruction or decommission. Obviously, lumber is valuable. This is a finite resource, and especially if it can be aged to the vintage or to the antique, there's higher value on the secondary market. Cabinetry and built-ins tend to be valuable, especially if they're in that modern or transitional style, and if they're well maintained. There's minimal value, especially in some of the older cabinetry that is traditionally styled. The high-end brands have the best value, but even with these brands, we see that the value on the secondary market is often only maybe 1/5, maybe 1/4 of the value new. So there's huge deals to be had here for buyers. Appliances are always popular. The high-end appliances have a much longer life, like Miele, Wolf, Viking, Jenn-Air. Some of the lower brand, when we see those that are over the 5 to 7 years, they start depreciating very quickly. Light fixtures especially, and again, this goes with like any appraisal, any valuation, we're looking at the supply and demand curve. So the more popular an item is, the higher value that we trace on the secondary market and through the indicators that we review. Newer energy efficient windows are of higher value than the non-antique regular windows. Antique windows have their own niche market, especially salvage stained glass windows. We do some architectural salvage in New York, and those hold significant value. Barn doors are currently in mode on the secondary market and command quite high prices. Masonry, siding, and roofing, depending on the material and depending upon if it can be pelletized and prepared for reuse. The value of these, especially for antique brick, we see some significant value on the secondary market.